What were your first thoughts when I left your apartment?
What the fuck did I just do? But I will say to this day, I do not regret it, and I refuse to regret it.
Killer.
So yes, and told the lovely gentleman I'm dating what I did 2 years ago, and he definitely was like, "That's awesome." Like it's nice to even hear like when you tell a guy.
Yeah.
And he's not. I've also told like a guy friend. Both of them had the perfect like, yeah, that's badass. That's awesome. Like. I'm like none of that like, oh, you dirty, disgusting whore.
In their mind, there's like, I wonder what else she would be down for.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
It's the vibrator that has no equal. And now, Motor Bunny offers their thrusting sex machine, the Motor Bunny Buck. Enjoy a fan whore discount at manwhorepod.com/motorbunny or use promo code manwhore at checkout. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man-Whore Podcast.
Shout out to the fan whores, to the whoreheads, to the Canuck fucks and the pod sluts. This is Billy Persida, and you're listening to the Man-Whore Podcast. It took me 499 episodes to come up with Canuck fucks. But you know what? We got there. Welcome to the pod. Did anyone else masturbate to the indictment news? Just me? I'm legit thinking about recording myself, or better yet, having like a really sexy friend record themselves reading the entire indictment. And then I'm just going to play it back and jack it so good to that. I'm going to edge myself through the entire indictment and just hold it in, and then finally blow my load when I get to Jack Smith's signature. Does that sound hot to you? Sounds hot to me. I have not been kidding when I joke. For years, I've been, I jack off with Rachel Maddow in the background. No, that's real, okay? I'm trying to conserve time, take in my news, and take out my cum. But that's not what this week's episode is about, everybody. And it's not about, why my voice sounds like this. I don't know. I've been smoking a lot of pot to calm my nerves down because Man-Whore-Con, it's almost here. And I can't smoke during Man-Whore-Con because Billy is on duty. Yeah, in less than 48 hours, I am going to be in a Midtown penthouse getting particularly intoxicated with a group of y'all playing I don't know what party games. I'm excited for Man-Whore-Con to come back. I'm nervous a bit too. You want it to be good. I like to feel like I am justifying what I'm told is a far too low weekend pass price tag, but I like to feel like I provided a good time that was worth coming out. But then I found out, one longtime listener, loyal fan whore, big time patron, Jack is coming from France. And Jack, I hope I'm not blowing up your spot, but Jack don't work on French Wall Street. This is Jack's vacation. This is like the vacation. This has to be good. Man-Whore-Con has to be good for Jack. I can't fail Jack. He's flying so far. But yeah, so it's after I put these mics down and upload this thing, I'm going to fill up some swag bags. And you can have a little taste of Man-Whore-Con yourself. This Saturday, August 5th, we've got Impact, a night of kink and comedy. Man-Whore-Con attendees are going to be there, but you can go get a ticket for just that yourself. Link in the schnotes. It's going to be at Star Bar in Bushwick. All the comedians are going to do their stand-up sets while the delicious Dorian Dreadful conducts a BDSM scene in the background. You can get your tickets for that in the schnotes, and you can also see all my other upcoming stand-up comedy dates down there in the show notes. Now, this week's episode is with Roxanne. Many of you remember Roxanne from episode 180, the Oral Sex Auditions, where I infamously, semi-famously, very obscurely, I arranged 5 dudes to go down on my sexually frustrated friend. I conducted pre-game, post-game interviews, and then after the dude would leave, she would tell us how it really went down. And Roxanne is on this week in part because next week is episode 500. And for episode 500, we're doing a sequel. Because in today's era of entertainment, we love a sequel, we love a reboot, we love a prequel, we love a spinoff. So yeah, yours truly went down on 5 different ladies, and Roxanne conducted the pregame and postgame interviews. She's our special guest host next week. But this week, today, what you're listening to right now is actually a re-release of a Patreon-only bonus episode I put out back in 2019. And in that bonus episode, Roxanne and I discussed her experience doing the oral sex auditions. So this is kind of like going back to the well at a moment in time where we were going back to the well. But I thought that, making this available on the main feed would really gear y'all up, would really be the proper, dare I say, foreplay to next week's episode 500. But before I play my conversation with Roxanne, let me do a quick fan whore appreciation moment. Yes, this is the part of the pod where I like to give a shout out to a member of my fan whore community on Patreon. Patreon is the best way you can support independent content creators like myself. It provides a stable source of monthly revenue. And frankly, if you get at all aroused listening to either the normal oral sex auditions or next week's oral sex auditions, I think I deserve a couple dollars for it. And this guy, he knows I'm worth it. This guy, Patrick Bogans, thank you, buddy, for showing me my worth. All I can tell you about Patrick, to not fully blow up his spot, is just that, he's a brave man. That's all I'm going to say. He knows what I'm talking about. He's not brave for supporting me on Patreon, but he knows why he's brave. But he's also awesome for throwing down on the Patreon. Thank you, buddy, for supporting the pod. And you too can become a member for just $2 a month. Become a member today. Enjoy the rewards. Show your support at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast or download the Patreon app and find me on there. And with that, let's turn back time to a time where Roxanne and I turned back time to a time when men disappointed her in bed. Surely that time is fully in the past. And then next week, we'll find out if I'm the disappointment. But for now, let's go to me and Roxanne. Banana Roxanne. The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by Beducated.com. Do you like logic problems? Here's one for you. If Beducated.com exists, moving at 50 miles per hour, offering over 100 video courses showing explicitly how to do a variety of sexual techniques, and clicking the link in these show notes gets you 50% off an annual membership, why are you still bad in bed? I'm going to stop saying I don't know how to prep someone for anal. You know why? Because I've bookmarked the Kenneth Play Anal Sex Workshop on Beducated.com's platform. I'm going to watch that, and I'm going to learn how to play with the buttholes finally. I'm going to beducate myself. I'm going to put my dick in somebody's butthole. That's what we're going to do, and I'm not going to keep putting it off. And as I mentioned earlier, clicking the link in the show notes will get fan whores an exclusive 50% discount on an annual membership. Go get Beducated. It's like educated, but like with a B, because it's bedroom stuff. It's such a popular episode. And it's an episode I cite very often when people want to hear about wild things I've done on the show. Usually the first thing they'll say is we had oral sex auditions. And then they'll be like, what's that about?
No, I love it. Even telling people about your show. I'm like, well, guys, I was just on my friend Billy's podcast. And they're like, what's his podcast? I'm like, it's Man Whore. He normally interviews people he's had sex with. I'm not one of them. And then, of course, when I actually told my close friends what I was doing, I loved that all the women were like, fuck yeah, right? Nadine. Awesome. And of course, some of them were like, of course you're doing this. I was like, do I have a reputation with you? She's like, yeah.
You're on the fuck yeah, ladies, let's get ours. But that's also kind of why I feel justified to do the reverse version at some point. Because look, I made women's pleasure the focus for a while, and now I want to do a fun, stupid thing with guys getting their dick sucked. I don't know why that's a problem. A friend of mine got upset about it recently. She's like, what, this guy's just going to get his dick sucked? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. What's there's nothing
I was
wrong
like, I've
with getting
earned it.
your
I've
dick
done
sucked.
the other versions.
And I had an amazing time. So yes, thank you.
Well, I guess that is the first question is like, what, so looking back, this has been we're back with Roxanne from the Oral Sex Auditions.
Hi guys.
And it's been a little over 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that because I was editing this episode directly off of my breakup with Paige.
Yep.
I mean, I was sobbing in tears in an Uber from Jersey to Brooklyn that my mother was very kind to get me because she was like, you shouldn't have to go on a bus right now.
No.
You're very sad. This is the day after I got dumped. So I'm like editing it, crying in the back of an Uber, but I'm like editing your moans.
Yeah,
being like, oh, this is such gold. This is great. Everything's great. I had to put that up. I had to be excited about a pussy eating episode while also being painfully sad. It was a very strange one for me.
It was a weird time for us all. None of us were having a good time in our dating or sex lives.
Well, that was and that was the origin of it. So I guess actually truly the first question is, have your experiences, the whole reason we did it was because you were frustrated with dudes with like low sexual IQ, guys who bragged about eating pussy and didn't, or guys who thought they were really good and weren't.
Oh, yeah.
And you were just, that's why we did. So have things improved?
I would definitely say things have improved. There was one guy that I did kind of slip into the old habits of like dating. He's like, oh, I don't really like to. And it was like well into like dating him and whatever. I was like, oh, maybe I can get him to like it eventually. Like, or maybe he just didn't have enough experience.
Are we talking about Jim?
No,
okay.
No. Oh, we know we're not talking about Jim.
I don't know.
Jim has a t-shirt signed by dozens of women about how he is the best oral that they've ever had.
Right, but you were talking about the dating part, but not liking dating.
Yeah, yes.
But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah. So like this guy was like, no, I don't do it. And when I finally was like, yeah, no, he's really not going to do this. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna put my pleasure on the back burner anymore. And I don't feel like, I think the best thing that I even learned from all of this was just like,
did you learn something from doing the show?
I learned something from you, Billy.
Look at that.
I know. It's more of like that feminist, like, hoorah, if a guy tried to do this, nobody bat an eyelash. I'm like, I can definitely do this. And then it was also just like why do women always put their pleasure on the back burner? It's always this like almost mental idea of like, oh, I have to make sure I take care of him. And, you know, of course, like there's so many other aspects to it. Like a woman's always more uncomfortable with her own body. Like you don't hear any like plastic surgeries on how to lift a man's balls, but you have vaginoplasty. Like, ew, what? No. But it's just like, nope, you should not only be thrilled to go down on me, you should take the time to actually learn how to go down on me. And if you don't know what you're doing, raise your hand and ask a question. Don't just pretend that there's something wrong with me. Because, you know, there was those guys that were like, you didn't come the 2 seconds I was down there. Well, no, genius. You were barely even on the right spot. When I keep saying higher, I'm not like making something up. I'm actually literally telling you to move your mouth higher.
So you've gotten more, I don't want you to say demanding like it's a bad thing, but it's a good thing. I think, have you gotten more demanding? Have you been more like, no, this happens or no?
Oh, yeah. Like the guy I'm dating now, we were just like messing around. All of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sit on your face. And he was like, oh, okay then. I was like, good answer. Let's go.
All right. Well, I'm glad some good came out of it. So you actually did end up, so part of the artifice of that episode was each of the guys I asked, would you want to see her again? And I would ask you if you want to see them again, and we tried to figure out who was a match. We had one where you selected him and he was actually like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And we had the sexual demigod who of course was thrilled to see you again, and you were like, no, pass.
How did you? I said, ow, for Christ's sake.
I have it recorded. I have her saying no, slower. Nope. Just, I have him failing on mic, which is great.
Yep.
And then there were a few guys that you were like, oh, I'd see them again. Did you go out? There was 3 of them. Did you go out with all 3 of them?
Yep.
And so let's start with friend of the pod, David Piccolomini.
Yes.
What was that one like?
It was definitely more of like, we're just going to kind of hook up and see how that went. Like, we kind of did the foreplay. Let's try a little bit more.
And how was he with his big swinging dick?
He was perfectly fine. He was good. I think it was also just like, we didn't really have that much more of a connection. So it was just like, it was sex.
Other than me sending him into a bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, he's a sweet guy. He's funny. He's definitely like an interesting guy. And it was like, so it was also just cool hanging out with him and being able to have more of a conversation and being like, oh, so let me get to know the person who went down on me pretty darn well.
Okay.
He's a cool dude. Yeah.
There was then the older gentleman with the long hair, ponytail. He went last, and actually it was really sweet because when I came to knock at the door, y'all were just on the bed talking, fully clothed. Mm-hmm. In part because you were a little spent.
I was maybe a little bit spent here and there, but it was also really just a matter. He started talking, and I felt even like he needed to get comfortable. So, okay, I can sit and chat with you. But then that's all it became. And there was, honestly, he was talking about things like, he was like a scientist. Yeah, so he was talking about like amoebas. And I'm like, okay, well, that, you know, big sex high that I have, because I do have the high sex drive, like I could have kept on going. Until you start talking about like amoebas or, you know, whatever. It's 2 years, so I don't quite remember. But it was definitely one of those things where I'm like, okay, so let's talk science. Okay. But I appreciate intelligence. And so I did go out on a date with him. And it wasn't no. No. Did you guys end up going home together at all or no? No.
So we've never gotten to confirm nor deny his pussying abilities.
Not at all.
Well, I'm glad you said that because actually behind the door right now. How sick would that be if I did have him waiting out there?
Well, it makes me glad to say, like, he did like try to kiss me at the end of the night, and I was just like, oh no, I'm good.
Yeah,
no, we're good.
Okay. But then, and honestly, it shocked and dismayed me. I don't know if dismaying is the proper usage of that word, but I mean, Porno Jim. Look, I know he's good. But I had no idea that y'all even started dating until randomly you showed up to something and it was like, well, yeah, we've been going out. And it's like, oh, it went really well. So tell us a bit about that.
So, okay, Jim is 100% sweetheart, and he's not just good, Billy. He's honed his craft. I will say this. Porno Jim has honed his craft to a T. Like, I don't think there's a woman on earth he couldn't get
it's
to
a
orgasm.
T because actually that's his method. He just traces the letter T over and over again.
I don't know. There's something he does. I'm like, what the fuck was that? But he was an awesome guy, and we did date. It wasn't
for like a while.
For a while, for like quite a few months.
It was a significant length of time.
Yes. And I guess it was also, I think, for me, it was like I was having fun, and dating him is fun. And obviously it's full of sex and like good conversations, and it's awesome. But it was also, there is one fundamental, very big difference between us. He is polyamorous and I'm monogamous. Mm-hmm. And there were definitely times, I think for him, he was just like, no, you could definitely be poly. You're so open-minded and sexual. And I'm like, no, I am. But that's just the way I am. Like, especially like when I'm single, I'm like, let's go have some fun. But at the end of the day, for me, a relationship, I put so much effort into my relationships that I couldn't imagine doing it for more than one person. Like, I entertained the idea of polyamory, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. I remember like asking you about that, and it seemed like you were giving it the college try.
Somewhat, yeah. Like, it was, and again, I really enjoyed spending time with Jim, but it was also like, oh my God, to get another boyfriend, I'm exhausted just going to work and like seeing Jim once or twice a week and then doing my usual stuff. I was just like, and then if he got a girlfriend, I know my jealousy would ramp up in 2 seconds.
Did he have other girlfriends while you dated? He surely had other sexual partners.
Because even though we were like dating, we weren't dating monogamously or anything like that. It was like, for me, it was like having fun dating.
Were you jealous of those women?
No.
Or was it a little more out of sight, out of mind?
Out of sight, out of mind. And also because for me, we didn't put like the titles, like if I'm just casually dating somebody and we haven't like established anything, I don't have the right to be like, oh, how dare you? But even like, you're dating Porno Jim, who is very open and honest from the very second you meet him, who he is, what he's about. He's not going to like hook up with you and be like, oh, by the way, I also happen to be polyamorous. You're like one of 7, he's not that dude.
Okay.
So it was just one of those things where I'm like, no. And it was also one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I have zero jealousy. So I don't even know if that's like something, because I don't picture him as like a super long-term down the road like relationship. And for me, I know that if it became like that little switch, then it would be like, why are you talking to her? Who is she? What's going on there? And I don't know. I don't say it's necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes jealousy can be a fun thing in monogamous relationships. Be like, that's when you can dress up as another woman, put on a red wig, and be like, hey, what's up?
You do you, boo-boo.
I always do. But, Jim was a sweetheart, and I really like enjoyed my time with him. And, ladies, I highly, highly recommend him for multiple reasons.
Yeah, he's a guy you can Google.
Yes,
you can find him. I'm pretty sure he would say you can randomly hit him up.
You know what? You're not wrong.
Yeah. In the way that I guess some people do. I've been getting people hitting me up on Reddit recently.
Really?
Yeah, because like another one of those like success stories started making the rounds on there. Someone wrote about me like a month ago, and I've had like in the last month like three or four total strangers on Reddit message me being like, "Hi, can I sit on your face too? It seems like you're not bad at it." And I was like, "Wow." Literally, someone PM'd me last week and was like, you must get this all the time, but, I'm going to be coming in for a weekend and as anxious I can get some of the you/Funny Billy Pro muff diving experience. My username is Funny Billy Pro.
Of course,
so that's what's tagged up. And I'm just like, oh God, that's so embarrassing, but fine.
Did you meet any of them?
I've met up with women like who have contacted me randomly, not because I put an ad up. The one who wrote the last success story was someone who hit me up randomly just because she knew she was coming into New York or something. But no, the one from last weekend didn't work out. I got sick, and then when I went to go tell her, she had deleted her account, so she took Hillary's advice too seriously. But yeah, no, it is interesting. Like the concept of a referral, it's almost like a dream of mine. To be referred,
refer you?
And I've been pretty close. Like it's essentially already happened with like the Reddit stuff, where like I get these strangers like throughout the year hit me up saying, "I've read about you. Can I try?" But I think the step above that is to have like a sexual or romantic partner of mine, actually refer me to a friend.
Have you ever asked any of the ones you've interviewed?
Well, I mean, I usually interview the exes.
but
the idea of like I will jokingly throw it out there if someone insists on telling me how good I am at oral, I will eventually just say, tell your friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you want to keep saying this, like I'm just going to tell you, like spread the good cheer. It is the holiday season after all.
Yes, everyone could use a pick me up.
Yeah. What was it like knowing that what was that whole experience like? Because like you're in your bed, I'm here in your living room where we are right now, and you know that like 5 strangers that you don't know are going to be rolling through your bedroom and pussy over the next couple hours.
Yes.
So like, what was that all about?
I mean, nervous as fuck, obviously, but thankfully I also trust you. So there was some degree.
That's a questionable decision.
Well, also, I mean, all right. I trust that you also care about your show, the baby, because there's no way you were going to have like some gross dude that's like nasty as fuck show up and then me being like, that's it, Billy. If he sounded great on the phone, that might have, maybe. Well, maybe, but
remember, I'm servicing the show first.
I know you are.
You second and everyone else last.
But at the same time, if one like horrible dude shows up, I'm like, oh, and this is over. Like I would have definitely, I'm not exactly a pushover.
But what if that gross looking dude was actually the best pussy eating you'd ever had? You don't know?
It's a full experience. Attraction is a full experience. Like if all of a sudden it's just like, Quasimodo comes through the door, my first thought is not, oh, he might be good at giving me oral. Like it's going to be like, do I want him touching me? I don't know.
And what were those like individual experiences like? Like were you, I mean, obviously the ponytail at the end, there was it was only talking.
Yeah.
I mean, how often were you all just going straight into it? How often was there some chitter chatter? Because I'm not in the room. I had a mic in there. I had my phone in there recording like ambient noise, so I can use your moans as interstitials. or as segues, but not. I wasn't there. I wasn't in the bed or under it, as my mom would say. So,
well, like Jim was the first one,
right?
And you know, Jim
setting a bar.
Yeah, he was setting a bar, but also he just, I think, was also the good reason to start with him was that he can easily like just immediately walk in, take charge of a room, and just starts talking to you like, well, what would you like? And again, he's like one of those pinnacles of sexual communication being important and how to do it right. Like, he came walking in, asked me how I'm doing, gave me a compliment, and then it was immediately like, what would you like? How would you prefer to do this? Like, this is all about you. And literally says, this is all about you. And I'm just like, oh, okay, this is great. Like, oh, okay, I would like to do this. We can do, and, you know, I
would
get
like
to
to
set
do
my
it
terms.
this way at this speed with this many fingers.
Exactly. And like, just keeping it like exactly what I want and going. Like, and of course, like, David like comes in and it's like, hi, how are you? And then of course that's the cue. Like, what do we do? I mean, I would have no idea about that at that point because I was not to touch them, and it was all about me. So it was just like, it was cuter with like the guys who obviously aren't like the performer porno Jim, who were just more like, so how does this work? I'm like, I'm not an expert. I'm just kind of, we're all in Billy's mind right
we're
now.
We're all in Billy's game right now. Yeah. This is my experiment.
Yeah. So it was like, it was almost a little bit like sweeter. Like, oh, well, I guess we could start kissing. Like, let's start there. Okay.
But did it feel odd having like, I mean, I assume you never had a dude walk into a room and within a minute was going down on you.
No.
Right. So like, was that strange? Was it odd? Was it surprisingly, you know, awesome? Like,
it was definitely first nerve-wracking and then exciting. Like, you know, the adrenaline's a little bit up and it's just like you're doing something you know is like taboo and to some degree. Like, obviously there's much worse things out there. But to me, it was funny because I was like, well, it's actually kind of exciting. Like, let me add this to like the more sexual excitement that I can feel. Let me kind of direct my energy. Like, this is sexy. This is fun. I'm enjoying this. And especially like with Jim breaking the ice, it's like, oh my God, this is actually going to be a fun time. This is actually really interesting.
What were your first thoughts when I left your apartment?
What the fuck did I just do? But I will say to this day, I do not regret it, and I refuse to regret it.
Killer.
So yes, and you know, told the lovely gentleman I'm dating what I did 2 years ago, and he definitely was like, "That's awesome." Like, he, you know, it's like it's nice to even hear like when you tell a guy, and you know, he's not. I've also told like a guy friend, and he was like, both of them had the perfect like, yeah, that's badass, that's awesome, like. I'm like, none of that, like, oh, you dirty, disgusting whore.
In their mind, they're just like, oh, I wonder what else she would be down for.
Probably, but obviously the guy I'm dating, I'm very vocal and honest, and it's like, sure, we can do this. I'm like, I've never had a sex swing before. We should find one of those.
Is it an official relationship?
It is not.
But is it monogamous right now? Technically,
we are both naturally monogamous. Yeah.
So neither of you are like, you're not boyfriend girlfriend yet, but neither of you is seeing anyone else.
Correct.
Okay, and how long has it been going on?
Just a few months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Off mic, you were sharing that there's already, though, even though it's like a fresh relationship, there have been talks about doing things that would incorporate other people, whether it's going to a sex club or, you know, having a threesome or something like that. So had you ever done stuff like that before the episode?
Yeah, I've gone to sex clubs.
You've been to sex clubs?
Yeah, my favorite one was actually in Canada, in Toronto.
What was it called?
I can't remember. It was like 9 years ago.
Okay.
And my memory is not that great.
Sure.
I've been in ecstasy.
Okay.
I don't even think it's open anymore. Anyways, after 9 years, sex clubs don't seem to have the longest of shelf lives.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I've been to a few. A couple in the city that I think were a little more like afterthought. Like, maybe if we just like get an old abandoned warehouse, throw some couches down, and give a smoking room.
That is what a lazy sex party can feel like. It's like they just threw some mattresses down and got a DJ.
And so or the DJ is really just somebody playing their playlist on their phone.
Okay.
And then there's they hired like some girl to stand
at
behind
least
the
at a
bar.
Hacienda, it's a production, decorations. Not only is there a DJ, there's several DJs on shifts throughout the night. Like, it's a full thing. And I don't know, for me, that's always set the standard of what a play party should be.
Yeah.
So you had done stuff, so it wasn't like an out there idea.
No.
And the thought of, and then also you like dated Porno Jim for a while.
Yes.
You also got to feel that out. Did you go to sex clubs with him?
No.
He runs a party.
I mean,
right?
he runs the party, but you know, he's not going to do anything. He's working literally. And you know, he had a couple of like parties at his house. So, you know, it wasn't that we didn't do a whole bunch of crazy things, but we also didn't date long enough for it to be like a thing.
All right. So when this new guy brings up like, oh, maybe we should go to a sex club, it's not even like it's like, yeah, sure. It's not a thing you have to like think about much.
I mean, I don't ever want anyone I'm dating to feel like they need to stifle themselves sexually or express like to hold back an expression. Like, I'm sure, like, I've even remember like girls telling me like they get mad if their boyfriends watch pornography.
Well, those people are crazy.
Well, I mean, I won't say crazy. That's their boundary. That's their rule.
Crazy.
You can say crazy. I am going to respect everyone's boundaries and everyone's desires and whatnot. It just means that, hey, dude, if you enjoy porn, maybe she's not the top to your pot.
Yeah, but I also will. I will respect people's boundaries, but if they are unreasonable boundaries, I will first ask why that is a boundary. Because if it comes from bullshit reasons, then it's not really a boundary. It's you stating stigma as a boundary, so it's not seen as stigma. No, it's just stigma.
No,
that's
totally
all. It's just you being like, no, porn is, it's threatening to my relationship or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's
or
like,
it's a sin. You shouldn't be watching or coveting.
Right.
Another
So
woman.
those are bullshit to me. But if it's just like, if you can think of some sort of legitimate reason to control what the other guy watches, then,
well, like one is like one of my friends is definitely very feminist, and she's just like, pornography treats women terribly. Like, she's like, I don't agree with like, and of course I'm like, you do know they make women porn that's actually really nice, and like there's none of that like, suck my cock, you dirty whore, and slapping her in the face.
That's not all porn.
That's not all porn. Unfortunately, it's a lot of porn, and there is a mentality of like, a whole conversation around whether like watching porn at a young age and thinking that that's the way sex is supposed to be. And of course, I do blame bad sexual partners on watching too much bad porn, that they come into this thinking that they're just supposed to like smack me in the face with their cock and like tell me to choke on it.
And I would counter that it's only harmful when absent of sex ed, because we have plenty of Fast and Furious. A lot of people see them. But we also teach driver's ed so people don't drive like that.
Oh, for sure. Like, what was your sex ed course in high school?
I didn't have any.
We
4
had
years.
one small little, like, 3 weeks, like, for 3 weeks, one day each week. It was like a little conversation. And literally one guy thought in high school that if you come in a girl and she stands up immediately and starts jumping up and down, she won't get pregnant because all of the sperm will be just like drop right out of her.
That's like when I remember reading a Mad Magazine article as a kid, and I tried to find it for forever, but it was just like it was a thing of like weight loss hacks type of thing, and one of them was like, well, if you eat while walking, then it negates the calories, because like, well, you were walking while you did it.
Hey, that does work. If you're eating celery, it will totally negate while you're walking, but that's about it.
Yeah. Well, is your current guy, is he good at the pussy eating?
Yes. Very good.
Oral?
He's good. He's really good. Yeah.
Did you have to teach him anything? Did he have to make any adjustments?
No, he listened to me and again, so it's a simple.
Did he listen to the episode? Like, I'm going to learn everything I need to know from this thing.
I don't believe he listened to the episode. I didn't find out about the episode till after he started going down on me. But it was just like,
actually, it was while he was going down on me. It'd be like, oh, this reminds me of a time I did a podcast. Yep.
Yeah, maybe that would be the worst time to bring up something like that. Like, oh, the time that I had a bunch of other guys.
Best time. Yeah.
We'll see. Wait, I'm not going to try that. I'm not going to test that theory. But, it's just like, it's simple. Like, he also has enough of a good sexual IQ that, oh, she made that moan when I did this, and less of a moan when I did the other thing. Let me go back to the thing that made her moan more. Like,
right.
It's
little
great.
things like that.
Yeah.
If you just pay attention to these like nonverbals, or at least these these things aren't like words, but just the the responses. And I think all that comes from just giving a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like how do you get good at oral? It's like, I don't know, give a shit. Like, you'll figure it out.
Exactly.
But you just have to care. If you don't care enough to do a good job, then you're not going to hear, or you're not going to sense that the pelvis move a little bit. You're not going to sense any of it because you're not really caring. You're just thinking, oh, when do I get to stop this?
Yeah.
But if you're actually like present in the moment and paying attention and kind of excited about it, you'll probably do a good, at a bare minimum, enthusiasm will get you, going.
For sure. Like, even when I'm giving like blowjobs, like, he loves when I go down on him. And it's just like, I enjoy doing it. Like, I'm enthusiastic about it. Like, I can only imagine like a girl's like, oh, All right,
Yeah,
I guess I'll suck your cock if
I have
to.
stopped a lot of blowjobs where in my head I'm thinking, you just want to like fuck. Okay, like let's stop this part because you don't want to do this part. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, there is like, you always have this expectation that you're supposed to give a blowjob. Like women will like almost have like this weird subconscious, like, I'm supposed to do this. And it's kind of like annoying because it's not the other way around. No guy's like, well, I'm supposed to go down on her before we start intercourse.
Instead of saying that women shouldn't be expected to give the blowjob, I would rather just say men should also be expected to go down.
Oh, sure.
Because I don't want to stop this oral stuff.
No.
I don't want,
Please
you know,
don't.
it's like, let's not attack the blowjob. Fine, take all the muff dives you want. Just don't stop the blowjobs. Okay? But I can sense when someone's like, not about it. And I'm just like, I'll stop. It's like, this other thing, you just make out with me. I'll just stroke myself. It'll be way more fun for both of us.
Yeah.
If you don't do this thing you don't like. But okay, I'm glad that that's going well.
Yes, me too.
Okay.
But yeah, your original question even was just like, so yeah, bringing it up. It's like, I would love to enjoy like different sexual things with him, as long as there's that feeling of like, we talked about what our boundaries are, what we're interested in doing, and like, just communicate. That's it. Just communicate and give me trust.
Trust and communication.
Oh shit, look at that.
Yeah.
Important, aren't they?
Also, how have I known you this long and I didn't know you were divorced?
I don't know.
I'm offended.
I know. I mean, it's not exactly something I walk around announcing on a regular basis. It's been almost 10 years, like I was telling you. And yeah, no, I got married very young. I was 21 and met him when I was 18. He was almost 10 years older
You're
than
from
me.
where again?
I'm from here, honey.
How long were you married?
God, 3.5, almost 4 years.
And what's wild is that by the time you were divorced, you were still like a child. Like,
I was 25 when it was finally
if you were
official.
getting married at 25, I'd still be like, are you sure you want to get married right now? Like by the time you were already done with the whole marriage, you could have gone right into a new one. I still would have been like, you're too young to be doing this.
Yeah, no, I mean, 25, I was like, okay, well, I'm still young. I have some catching up to go do. Let me go do some crazy ass shit. And it's like, you know, that's one of the reasons I think some of my friends are like, you won't say no to like some of the craziest things that most women will say no to. And I'm like, of course, I immediately think about what I did for, you know, man whore. And I was like, yeah, no, if it's not going to like hurt me or hurt anybody else and it's an experience, and why not? Why not do it? Why not experiment and play with it and not feel like, you know, I might be judged for it. Like, yeah, screw it. Go have some fun.
Absolutely. Any other notes about the demigod, if you can remember them? Because like he was just like, it just really was. It's also it worked out perfectly because it's not like I did not plan for you to have a bad one. I did plan on you having one good one because like Jim was my ringer.
Yeah,
I didn't necessarily intend on him going first and setting such a high bar, but like I did intend on like I'm gonna have one person that I know will be good.
Yeah,
because I have no idea the skill set of everyone else involved.
I properly trusted you,
but thank God. We had one guy who was actually really bad and was a stereotype about it. He just bragged about like, yo, I love this. He even had a move. He mentioned having a move. I was like, yeah. No, I said, yeah, tell me more about your move. I want to hear more about your move. You big, probably bad at this fella. Come on, tell me more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, oh God, demigod alone. Like that's an extra step. And all I can think about him is like, all right, has he even had sex? Like, has he actually gone down on someone? Or has he, like, been one of those guys who's like, I watched enough porn. I could totally do that.
Because what's wild is he could have just said, like, I'm a virgin. I've never been able to go down on a woman before. And I still would have probably booked him because that's still interesting.
Well, I've been curious to see, like, will you listen to the direction? Will you, like, is it something that comes naturally to some people where, okay, I've never really done this before, I'm going to give it a try. I would have totally let him do it.
Imagine if we had just 5 virgins doing it and the experiment was, well, what if we get 5 dudes who've never done this before and see if they are more open to listening to what a woman says?
Absolutely.
Oh, well, I guess we got to do a follow-up now. No.
You can find another Roxanne.
Yeah.
I mean, ladies, obviously, you know what to do if you need somebody to go down and you hit up Billy.
Roxanne is like Batman. It's like we're just going to recast same name, different person.
Go for it. Why not?
That's fun. Any other thoughts, recollections about that experience or what you took from it?
I mean, it was unique for sure. Something I kind of hope more women, like I'm curious to know what your audience thinks of it. Like, what did did anybody who's listening take anything away from it? Did any woman listening go like, fuck yeah, good for her. You know what? I'm going to do the same thing. Or any guys go like, I might need to work on my oral game. Like,
I don't know I don't know what dudes thought that or didn't think that, but I do know a lot of chicks were like, fuck yeah, that's great. I don't have any like on me, but like I know I got a lot of actual response and engagement from that episode.
Yeah.
Enough so that I was like, oh, clearly this is the type of thing they like. There were a few who were like, this made me really wet at work. You know?
Billy, those were subtle people slipping into your DMs.
Yeah, you know, they tend to do it a little less subtly these days. So I guess I mean, I must close with this, all things being equal. It's, so when are you going to line up 5 of your friends for me? When's Billy going to get some referrals?
Well, I can't give the referral because you and I have never done anything.
I feel like you can trust that.
I have told my girlfriends what you have done for me. And if anything, they might hit you up to be like, what are we going to do?
What episode will we do? I'll be like, great, I'm going to line up some virgins for you.
You might want that would be an interesting show.
I'll call it the cherry picking episode.
Oh, I love it.
Just like have her bang 5 virgins individually. You don't want to throw 5 virgins into a gangbang. That's a step too far.
I
did have a guy though. I arranged 3 gangbangs in January because my life is weird. And the third one, there was this awkward, chubby Asian man, boy. I'm gonna say boy. Feels more appropriate for him.
Under 25?
Definitely.
Okay, yeah.
This chubby Asian boy. He at one point asked the chick was blindfolded the whole thing. She wanted to be blindfolded.
Okay.
And then at one point he has to go down her, and then he does that. He also had sex with her later, but he has to go down her, and she was like going wild during the oral. She's like, oh my God, like she came a couple times. Good for her.
Good.
He later comes in and gets a condom, and like, you know, he did his quick fucking go. At the end of it, when everyone was all said and done, there was about 5 dudes still like left in the room. They were just hanging around. And I said, hey, do you want to see any of these fellas? There's a few of them still here. Cause she did like, I think she fucked like 15-ish.
Jesus Christ.
12 or 15, something like that.
Good for her.
And she said, sure. So she took it off, and like I'm introducing her to the fellas in the room. I said, now this guy here is the one who was going down on you, making you scream, moan, and whirl. And she just was like, no way. Because he didn't look like the guy who's going to do that. And then he said, would you believe me if I said that's only the second time I've done that to a woman?
Shut the fuck up. Yes. A kid who knows what he likes to do.
And do you know how he learned?
How?
He watched a Nina Hartley how to cunnilingus video.
There need to be more how-to videos.
There, not for nothing, there really are a lot of them, but they're all on Pornhub because they're in-depth how-to. So, you know, but they're out there. You just search how to give a like they're out there. Caden Cross is a good series on trenchcoatx.com. It's like a membership website, but worth it. She does have a series of like, they're supposed to be all sexual educational stuff, but they're pornographic. Like they're, you know, they show you how to do it, but they're also trying to be educational about it. But that boy was so sweet. And then when we're leaving, oh man, I'm betraying his confidence, but I don't care. He's not going to hear this. And neither is the chick from the gangbang, because he didn't want her to know.
Oh.
But that was, I don't think it was the first time, but I think that was only the 3rd woman he'd had sex with.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, he's young. I'm never going to hold that against somebody.
I'm not holding it against him. I just thought, I was like, wow, like your 3rd time having sex, you went to a gangbang.
That's
like,
fucking
good for
awesome.
you. But then imagine a gangbang of 5 virgins.
All right, it might be a little more funny.
That might be fun. That one might be funny. That one, I'm definitely keeping the mic in the room.
It would even be curious, like, is there any women who've never had anyone go down on them ever? Like, would they know how to give direction on something they wouldn't know how to?
I'll take care of those.
You'll handle it. All right, Billy, fine.
Well, because then there's no standard to judge me on, and I can be only. At worst, I was all right.
Oh, Lord, Billy.
I love low expectations.
All right, you're setting that bar real low.
I like to trip over the bar every day. Roxanne, thanks for catching up with me. I'm glad you look back on that episode fondly.
Yep.
I know I and a lot of other listeners do as well. Feel free. Why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody? Leave your final words of wisdom.
Oh boy. Well, I'm glad so many people enjoyed the episode, and for any woman out there, just ask for it, go for it, don't feel ashamed. And for guys, just listen, hear her, feel her out. And if you're afraid of going down on someone, think about why.
I was just going to say grow up.
You can grow up for sure. But it's like if some guy's like, oh no, women always smell like no, that's just some weird
no, but they do, but also like that's part of the game. Just like deal with it.
And I'm sorry, but penises don't exactly smell that great. What?
Clearly hasn't smelled my cock. Over and out. If you enjoyed this free bonus episode over here exclusively on Patreon, I drop these once every month. We got some cool ones like Nina Hartley talking about beta men, my 7th grade crush, and Andrea Allen trying to determine if I'm a sex addict. If this is your first free Patreon bonus episode, go to the About section on my Patreon. You'll see a link to all of the freebies. And if you don't want to miss ones coming up, go click the follow button. It's going to give you a little pop-up. It's going to ask for like a name, email address, and date of birth. No credit card required. It's that simple and quick. And then you'll get an email whenever there's a new bonus episode available to you. And to all my patrons, hey, it's Thank You Patrons Day. And I just want to remind you, you're special, you're awesome, and you're the ones who help keep the Man Whore Podcast going the way it's been. So thank you all so much. Stay slutty. Next week, everybody, it's episode 500. Time for Billy to put up or shut up. Join the anticipatory discussions in the Champagne Room. The Champagne Room is our super free, super fun, super sex positive Discord server, and you can click the link in the schnotes to join us there. Oh, if you live in Ohio, you have a special election next week. If you're listening to this on time, you have a special election, and it's to vote on ballot initiatives, which does not sound sexy, but it's the GOP's way of doing some fuckery by doing boring shit and hoping you'll stay home. They want to raise the threshold that Ohioans can change a law in the state to like 60% from 50%. And the only reason they're doing this is because they outlawed most abortions in Ohio. And so this fall, it's going to be put to a vote to the people of if there should be abortions in Ohio. And since abortion is really, really popular, they're trying to do whatever they can to change the laws so that Ohioans can't change the laws. So if you're an Ohio voter and you heard this in time, I hope you voted. I hope you just make time, go do that little special election thing. Now I gotta start getting myself ready for ManwhoreCon. I mean, I've been getting ready, but I gotta continue to finish getting ready. Patreon, look, do I not deserve a couple bucks? What's going on with you? I'm not gonna tout all the special rewards you get. I'm gonna say, do I not deserve a few bucks? I ate so much pussy for you. Next week, you're going to hear me eat so much pussy for you. I broke a sweat for you. I opened myself up to sexual ridicule for you. Give me a few dollars. Go to patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. You'll enjoy the rewards, but you should enjoy the satisfaction of knowing that a comedian in Bushwick can buy his next meal. With that, everybody, use the condoms if you're supposed to, and don't fuck that person if they was against the agreement. Come on now, be fair. Just whack off to it, and then don't. But also, if you're allowed to do that, then totally do that thing. And if there's no one touching you, take some time for yourself to touch you, because you deserve that good touch. Touch it so good you gotta change the sheets afterwards. Make a big old mess, everybody. Stay slutty.
God.
In the arms of the angel. Did you enjoy what you heard? For 7 cents a day, you can feed an indie podcast host. Support the show on Patreon for behind-the-scenes content, bonus episodes, Discord benefits, and the ability to brag at parties about donating to the arts.
Join now at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. You're in the arms of the angel.